Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Satyam Raha, and in this video I'm going to talk about the variable arguments in Java. So, what is variable arguments? Before that, we need to understand why do we need variable arguments. You see, in a given method, if you want to send some elements as the parameters, you should be very sure how many arguments you want, right? You should be very sure about that. Say for example, I have a method, say public void display. Okay, let's say if I want to send one value to it, what I can do, I can simply receive one parameter and maybe simply I can print this a, isn't it? Now from the main, what I can do is I can maybe create an object. Say, okay, let's not make an object, let's just make it static for our ease. Okay, let's say I want to actually call the display with one number. Fine, so it should work fine. Yes, one is printed. Now say I want to send two numbers, not only one number, say two numbers. Now will it work? Of course no. The reason is we do not have a method which takes two arguments, right? In that case, what we need to do, we need to create another method. In the conventional way, we need to create another method and receive two arguments, and maybe we want to print the two values. Let's say I want to add these two values. For example, let's not concatenate it, let's add it for simplicity. If I execute this code, it works fine. 1 plus 2 is 3. But what I require is, now say I do not want to send any parameters at all. Now what do I do? Should I create another method, overloaded method with no parameters? Yes, of course, I need to do that. But say I do not know how many arguments I want to send. Let's say I will, maybe it depends on me, on another situation, how many arguments I want to send. Let's say it's variable number of arguments. Let's say sometimes I want to send one argument, sometimes I want to send, let's say, four arguments, sometimes maybe I want to send, say, 1000 arguments. Now what do I do? What is the solution? Okay, so one of the solution is to create an array, right? Maybe what we can do is we can simply say create an array, say array 1 equals to, sorry, not like this, yeah, array equals to, say, 1 maybe, right? And we can call the method show with array 1 in case we want to send only one argument. So this should work fine, right? Now say I want to send, and I want to send two arguments to the method show. What can I do? I can create another array, say array 2 of length 2, maybe 1 comma 2, right? And I can send array 2 here. It will work fine. Now see, we have minimized the problem of declaring n number of overloaded methods by using an array. Now what is the problem? Now the problem is we have to create n number of arrays, because we do not know how many characters or how many parameters do we want to send. We have to create n number of arrays depending on the size of my parameter list. If I want to send 1000 parameters, I have to create an array of 1000 elements, isn't it? So obviously it has to be decided when, it has to be decided afterwards, because I'm not sure while writing the code how many parameters will be required to send. So this is an overhead. I cannot write so many number of arrays, right? So what is the solution? The solution is variable length arguments. What we can do is we can simply put here int dot dot dot, three dots. Okay, three dots followed by the name. Let's say this is not an array. Let's say this is maybe param. Okay, to specify parameter list. Let's make it param. Now you see what happens is, let's say I want to send nothing. If I execute this code, nothing is printed. It's fine, right? Let's say I want to send one argument. Okay, if I execute the code, it runs fine. One is printed. Let's say I want to send two parameters, two arguments. If I execute the code, 1, 2 is printed. Say I want to print, let's say, this many arguments. If I execute the code, all of them are printed. Now, what is happening here? You can provide n number of arguments to the method show, and it will be received as an array in param. So param is treated by the Java compiler as an array. Okay. So when you give three dots after the data type and before the identifier or the argument name, what happens is Java treats the param as an array in the background. What it does is it checks how many elements it has sent. Now it creates an array with these elements and it sends to param. Okay, so you can send n number of arguments depending on your requirement. That is the advantage of variable length arguments. You have to just provide three dots. Okay, now you see there is some rules when you declare variable length arguments. The rule is, although you can overload it, okay, let's forget about overloading first. Let's talk about, can you send any non variable length arguments here? Can you send int x here? It turns out that no, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Is that true? No. You can actually send it before the variable length argument. Okay, this is fine. So as long as you are sending the variable length argument at the end, it should be on the right end. Okay, you can have n number of parameters, different parameters sent to the method, but the last one, only the last one can be variable length argument. You cannot have variable length argument in the middle. It should always be placed at the right hand side, at the last, at the end. Okay, now the second question is that if I want to overload a method which has variable length argument, what happens? Say I want to copy this code and let me paste it. Okay, now let's say I want to send double. Okay, and let's make it double. So it will work fine. It has no problem. You can either send, you can either change the data type or you can change the number of arguments. That depends on you. Okay, you can also make it int. As long as the signature is different, it will work fine. Okay, it will work fine. Now why is this error? The error is because I have to make it int, I guess. There is some error with show. The method show int is ambiguous. Okay, we'll come to this just shortly. Okay, before that, you just understand we can change the signature. As long as we change the signature, overloading can be done. Okay, it is no issue. Now what is the second part? Why is this error happening? The error is because of ambiguity. Okay, while using variable length arguments, you should be very sure that you should be very careful that there is no ambiguity. Here an ambiguity has happened. What is the ambiguity? The compiler has no idea whether to treat this one as int a, because this is overloaded method, right? show are overloaded method. Although the signature is different, yet you should be very careful that you do not enter such an ambiguous situation, because this is a compile time error. You can see that int a, whether the first argument 1 is a part of int a or it is a part of the entire variable length argument param. So either you can treat 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 as param and 1 as an integer a and call this method, or what you can do is you can treat the entire 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, all the 8 numbers, as a part of the param variable length argument and call this method. Which one should the compiler call? So there is ambiguity. So here, that is why we have been thrown a compile time error. We cannot afford to do this. So while declaring or using variable length arguments, you should be very careful what you are doing. You should be very sure you do not encounter any such ambiguous situation. Okay, it is up to you to handle, because it cannot be handled by the compiler. It will be an error. Okay, so I hope you understood. If you change this to double, then the ambiguity will disappear. Okay, just make it double. Sorry. So it will work fine. But the ambiguous situation should be remembered. You should be very careful about that. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you. See you in the next video.